We're starting our day here in Henryetta, Oklahoma, which is basically the western terminus of US Route 266, which I think is probably, the least publicized and most forgotten part of historic Route 66. Route 66 is so famous these days, and there's so many videos on YouTube documenting Route 66, and I've done a lot of those videos too. But US 266 is, a branch of Route 66 that has an interesting history. And I previously released a video on the western kind of part of this road that's no longer US 266. And so if you didn't watch that, you might be interested in that 92-mile section that connects Henryetta to Oklahoma City. And that was 266 at one time. It branched off from 66 in Oklahoma City and headed east all the way, to here, and then on another 40 miles like we're going to go today. It is the shortest U.S. Route in the country. I think it's tied with one other road, but is the shortest at like 42 miles. And it has no connection today with Route 66. It's not connected at all. Obviously, we talked about why, where it was connected originally. So kind of an odd thing that it's still called 266, even though it doesn't have a connection directly with Route 66. So I consider it, the forgotten part of Route 66 history, and we're gonna learn about that road today. We're starting here in Henryetta. Obviously you can see the cowboys behind me because this is a town that's very strong in its cowboy history. There was a guy named Jim Shoulders who was a rodeo Hall of Famer from here, and another kind of cowboy is also from here. Troy Aikman, the famous NFL quarterback that played for the Dallas Cowboys, went to high school here in Henryetta. So we'll start here. We'll show you a little bit of the interesting downtown, a lot of old historic buildings, and then we'll actually head north just a couple miles where 266 actually starts, just on the north side of town, and then we'll head east. And like I said, we'll see what communities we can find. There's not a ton of communities, but I do see a lot of little dots on my map. So we're gonna explore and see what those little dots are. This is a heavy mining area back in the day, so maybe it has something to do with that, but maybe not. We'll find out as we go. Hugh Henry established a ranch on Creek Nation land in 1885, and he soon found coal, which he began using to fuel his ranch. Discovery of more coal deposits in the large Henryetta coal formation attracted several railroads to develop the mines. A settlement named Furs grew up around the mines, and then they changed the name to Henryetta when a post office was opened in 1900. The population really grew and peaked at just under 8,000 people in 1950. Has gone down a little bit to 5,640 today, as there are still many, many businesses and manufacturing in the area. Just on the northeast side of Henryetta is Spelter City, And it's kind of a city within a city, or it used to be, as a massive smelting facility was placed there, and smelting was done until the 1960s. And even though it's not really much of a city anymore, it's still on some maps and has some cool murals as we head towards where US 266 begins, which is right on the other side of that stoplight. And so now we're on 266 heading east. Dewar was founded in 1909 by workers for the Missouri, Oklahoma, and Gulf Railway. Obviously, with its close proximity to Henryetta, it has a long history in coal mining. The population actually was highest in its early days, has gone up and down throughout the years, and currently in 2020 is at its lowest number, 763. You see a bunch of little dots just southeast of Dewar, and I'm assuming these had to do with mining. I don't have a ton of information on these, but I did drive around to show you what are on these back roads. There's that car on US 266, but originally the road came right through there, and then this was the bridge, and it's still here. You can still see it. Originally, this area was known as Wildcat, and the name was changed officially in 1902 to Grayson when it established a post office for the first time. It's considered one of more than 50 identifiable towns in Oklahoma that were created by African Americans between 1865 and 1920. Had a much larger population in the early 1900s, but once it got to the 1930s, the population has remained almost exactly the same. I pulled into Grayson and started looking around at the kind of different old buildings, and a guy came over to me, and he is the mayor of Grayson, James Leon Anderson, and he gave me a little tour and showed me the old jail. And you know, there's a lot of these historically black towns. There's like 13 or 14 of them in Oklahoma that have a interesting history, that are still, you know, around and have you can visit. They were originally like 50 and 50 something, and now there's like 13 or 14 left. And so, you know, they battle for funding, and obviously, like a town like Grayson's real small. If you watch the first part, Boley was one of those towns as well, and it had gotten some funding through, you know, and had some things on like the National Register of Historic Places. And he was talking to me about the school here, how they were trying to get that on the National Registry, but they didn't have any old photos of it. And that was something that you need to kind of show its historical, you know, past. And so if anybody has any pictures of the old school in Grayson, you can send them to James Leon Anderson, and that would definitely help them get that on the register. This is the very small town of Hitchita, Oklahoma, and the town was named for a band of Muskegon Indians that had been absorbed into the Creek tribe. The highest population figures come from the early days of the town at over 200, and now it is down to only 60 people. As we head back to 266, about a mile south of Hitchita, you can see some evidence of some sort of a community, or at least some businesses, as we get right on to 266 now. There's some old signs and abandoned buildings and a few houses as we get back heading east. Our next town, Checotah, is the home of country music star Carrie Underwood. She actually has a song called I Ain't in Checotah Anymore. Railroad came through here in 1872. Town was started around 1893. And between 1907 and 1909, the people here were involved in a dispute with Eufaula known as the McIntosh County Seat War. Checotah was designated as the county seat. People of Eufaula refused to hand over the county records. A group of heavily armed men from Checotah attempted to seize the records from Eufaula. They were beaten back and forced to surrender during a gunfight that followed. Then Eufaula was eventually designated as the permanent county seat of McIntosh County. The population has been a pretty steady rise through the years and still is over 3,000 people today. Our final town along 266 is Warner. Originally, the town located here was called Hereford in 1903, and then the railroad came through here. They renamed it Warner in 1905, and the nearby town of Bennett closed their post office and basically moved up here as well. So it's kind of a combination of Hereford and Bennett. The population was only a few hundred people in the early 1900s and has steadily grown to almost 1,600 people today. We started out the day, it was very overcast, and now as you can see it's incredibly bright and sunny. And so yeah, we're here in Warner, Oklahoma. It's where US 266 finishes up. I found the end of the road. He even had a sign there that said the end, 266 end. And yeah, now I'm here at Connors State College or University. Never heard of it before. I feel like I've heard of almost every college and I haven't heard of this one. I'm sitting in this unusual concrete stands, bleachers, like an old stadium, and I'm guessing maybe there was a stadium right in front of me and they tore it out, but they left this here. Kind of cool. You can watch some pickup basketball or volleyball right here, and you can kind of see over to the baseball stadium from here. So pretty cool. It's a little history there. Overall, I thought it was an interesting trip on US 266. Definitely not seen it documented before, so glad I was able to do that. Even though it's a short road, it's, you know, part of history. It's Route 66, or it's the I don't know if you'd say like a nephew or a niece of Route 66, and it now has no connection whatsoever in terms of it actually being connected. We talked about that in the first video, how 62 is the connection, used to be 266. I'm surprised they didn't rename this like 162 or 262 or something like that, but I'm glad they kept it with the 66 on it, and it can be found and discovered. And there's some cool towns that we found today, and definitely glad that I took the road less traveled on US 266. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of that video, and now that you're here, let me tell you a little bit about some of the extras that we have on the channel. One of the things you can do is you can become a member. There's 3 levels. There's the supporter level, there's the producer level, and the executive producer level. And all 3 levels have different perks, and as you are more supportive financially, there's more perks. We have extra videos every week and a lot of fun stuff going on in the member section. If you haven't done so, make sure you check out travelwithawiseguy.com. We've got lots of extra stuff on there, and one of the things is merchandise. You can get you Travel with a Wise Guy t-shirt. We have Death Go Round t-shirts. We have some coffee mugs, different things that are a lot of fun, and people seem to have enjoyed. Good quality there. Also on the website, you can do things like check out the Google map. I have a pin dropped in every place I've done videos about, then a link to the video, so you can look at the map, and maybe there's somewhere where you live or somewhere you want to go. You can check out that map, and it seemed to be a very popular thing. You can sign up for my newsletter. I do that about every 3 weeks. It's totally free. And there's also all kinds of other links and tidbits in there, old videos, podcasts, just everything I could think of I throw on the website. So make sure you check out travelwithawiseguy.com. Thank you for everyone who has been supportive of this channel, and thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. guys.